Golden Artist Colors. I'm Kevin Greeland, and today we're going to be talking about why you might want to choose a gel or paste. So let me switch the camera and we'll look at this board that has examples of several of our gels and pastes on there. So you can use the gels and pastes to create a texture and mix that with your paints. You can use the gel or paste to create a textured foundation to paint on, and a gel or paste can alter the sheen or viscosity of your paint. So Golden makes quite a few different gels. They are available in a gloss, semi-gloss, and matte finish. And we make a number of gels that have aggregates in, such as the pumice gels here. We have fine pumice, coarse, and extra coarse. We have the clear granular gel, and we have a glass bead gel. In addition to that, we have our paste. We consider our Crackle and our fiber paste our specialty paste, and then we have our molding paste. So we're going to take a closer look at the gels first. So I have some examples of those here. So in terms of mixing your paint with a gel, we've used our fluid paint, fluid paint, and we've mixed it with soft gel gloss. And you can compare that one to mixing it with our heavy gel matte. And so you can see with the light here, a little bit of that sheen. It's gloss, so you get that glow. And this one is the matte, so it appears kind of flat because of those matting solids in there. But we were able to use the gel to create the texture. Again, if I hold this on the side, you can see how I've built up that texture on both the gloss and the matte. If landscape isn't your thing, you can go with something a little more abstract. Here we've painted the board red first, then we applied the gel. The thing to remember with the gels is that they are kind of a milky white when wet, but glossy when dry. So this is the regular gel gloss applied to the surface, and I simply use the back of a paintbrush to kind of do the sgraffito effect in there, and then painted it. This one is the semi-gloss, so it has some matting solids in. So this kind of white color that you see here is the matting solids in there. But again, you can see from the side, I'm able to create quite a bit of texture and then go back and paint on top with the fluids. So that's using our gels. Again, the gels come in a gloss, semi-gloss, and matte finish. All right, let's take a look at our paste. I'll move these out of the way. So we make a number of different pastes. Here the pastes are applied just by themselves. We have our Crackle paste, a coarse molding paste, our fiber paste, and a light molding paste. You could think of the pastes and gels kind of as paint without pigment in it. In the case of the paste, we're just simply adding something else like marble dust or a calcite to create that particular texture. Again, we're able to build up the texture and paint on top with the paste. In terms of creating landscape image, the nice thing about the paste is that you can tint them as well. So here I've used a coarse molding paste. I painted on top with the fluids. And again, you can kind of see that texture if I hold it on the side, how I'm able to build that up. Use the same coarse molding paste, but tinted it with a little bit of Naples yellow. Again, both can be painted on the surface. With the light molding paste, again, applied that to the board, painted the board Naples yellow, used the paintbrush to kind of do a sgraffito and carve into it, and then I went ahead and painted it with the fluids. So let me mix up some paint for you so you can kind of see how that works. Here I have a heavy body and a fluid, and we're going to mix that with some light molding paste. For the most part, the pastes are opaque compared to the gels, which tend to be transparent or translucent. So this is light molding paste. And I'm going to mix with it a fluid and a heavy body. This is our fluid cobalt turquoise and heavy body cobalt turquoise. Generally, I like to use the fluids because they're a little more easy to incorporate. But you can see with the heavy body, it works just as well. So this particular fluid tends to be kind of on the matte side. The cobalt turquoise is a little more matte. It's not as shiny. So you can see I can change that sheen just by mixing it with the molding paste. And I get almost this kind of creamy oil-like look. Now let's do the heavy body. And you can see the heavy body, you just have to work a little bit harder at incorporating it. The fluid's a little bit quicker. Both the heavy body and the fluid contain the same pigment load, so you don't have to worry about that. But again, you can see I get this kind of really creamy kind of consistency, almost like an oil paint with the light molding paste. So an easy way to change the viscosity of the paint that you're working with is just by introducing a paste or a gel. The nice thing with the paste or gels is you can mix the paste or the gel with the paint, or you can paint on top. So in these applications, we use, this one is the light molding paste, and the light molding paste, as I said, the pastes tend to be kind of white to a clay-like white finish. So your colors do go a little to the pastel tone, and simply we mixed up our palette here and then just applied this landscape with a palette knife. This was using fluid, so it would be, you know, here's the fluid paint by itself. So you can see the viscosity is quite different. Once it's mixed with the light molding paste, you're able to build up a lot of that texture. If I hold it to the side a little bit, you can kind of see the light on the side there, how I'm able to build up that texture and almost make that fluid look like a heavy body or an oil paint by using the light molding paste. Same concept with this one, except I'm using the coarse molding paste. The coarse molding paste is also opaque. And what's nice about the coarse molding paste, it has this kind of gritty tooth to it. And let me show you that one. So the coarse molding paste, it has this grittiness. It's almost like a piece of fine-grained sandpaper, so it's great for pastels, colored pencil, and chalk. It's a great drawing media. So quite versatile, the coarse molding paste. You can mix it with your colors. You can build up the texture. So lots of possibilities with those. These particular two, just to show you that the pastes have different absorbent qualities. So this is a combination of the light molding paste, which is fairly absorbent, and then the hard molding paste, which isn't as absorbent. So in this case, the kind of watered down paint sits on the surface, where here it soaks in. So in terms of which you might choose, it depends on kind of the technique or the appearance that you're after. Here we've used that coarse molding paste. Again, it's very gritty with the light molding paste. So you can see the color sits differently on each of those. All right. One of the next ones we're going to talk about is one of my favorites, and that's the glass bead gel. So in this case, I've started just with a board or panel that I painted red, and then I applied the glass bead gel to that surface. The glass bead gel, this was put on about a day ago, so you can see for the most part it's very dry. A little bit of this white opaqueness will clarify as it continues to dry. I'm going to put a little bit of the glass bead gel out just so you can see the difference from wet to dry. So this is the glass bead in the wet state. It tends to be kind of a milky white, but you can hear the little glass beads in there when I go back and forth. So as this dries, it will clarify, and you'll get this beaded surface here with the little glass beads, which is great for creating texture or painting on. This one is the glass bead gel, so it's the same material that you see here, under the surface, but we just used our fluids and kind of watered them down and painted on that surface. So I'm going to do that one on here, just so you can get an idea of how that paint flows. And you can paint this kind of dry across the surface, or you can introduce a little bit of water and really get it to flow on that surface. And because of the texture, you can really start to see those little glass beads popping through the surface, which is what makes this surface so luscious for the landscape. Let me just put a little bit more on there. And you can treat this kind of like almost a water media and really get that paint to flow on there. You can, of course, apply it much thicker. And applying it thick, you tend to kind of cover up that glass bead. So I like to use a little bit of the water and really kind of stretch that paint out so you can kind of see that glass bead. Of course, and then when it dries, this is the surface that you're left with. All right, one more option. This one is using a combination of things. So first we started by painting our board ultramarine blue, and then we applied the glass bead gel. As that glass bead gel dries, you'll be left with that glass bead texture, and then we used our hard molding paste mixed with our iridescent stainless steel and used a stencil on this surface to create that. So you can use any of the gels or pastes with stencils. And another one is the Crackle Paste. The Crackle Paste is, again, it's that opaque paste. I'll put this out so you can kind of see it. It's kind of like a creamy Cool Whip consistency. And as this paste dries, you'll get these fine cracks. And you can't really control the cells on here. It's, to some extent, the bigger or thicker the application, the bigger the cells are, the thinner, the smaller cells are here. So if we look at the bottom, I applied it fairly thickly on the bottom. If I hold it to the side, you can kind of see how thick that is. You tend to get the bigger cracks. And then in areas like the top, where I applied it very thinly, you get smaller cells. Again, this is fairly absorbent. So it's like working a little bit with the light molding paste. I like to use the fluids again. And you can see how that kind of just soaks in there and creates those little cells stay quite pronounced. If I use the fluid directly, or if I used heavy body, if I put some of this out, you can see by using the paint directly on there, you tend to cancel out those cells and it fills in those little cracks. And the same would be true with the heavy body. If I use the heavy body and I didn't thin it out, again, as I paint that out on there, you can see that the heavy body fills in the cracks. So when you're using the Crackle Paste, you want to think about your overall surface look. So you use the paint a little more in the water media side of it rather than very thick application. I'll go ahead and mix. You can also tint the molding paste or the Crackle Paste or any of the gels. And again, I like using the fluids because they're easy to incorporate. Again, if I allow this to dry overnight, it will develop the cracks just like this did, except it will now be tinted. And if you recall the landscape that we did with the coarse, you know, this is the coarse molding paste, and we tinted it with the Naples yellow here. So all of the paste can be tinted because they're mostly opaque, and on the white side, you'll tend to get more of a pastel tone using those, unlike the gels, which are more transparent or translucent. So I'm just going to put that aside, and we'll recap. So we have a number of different gels. They come in different sheens. So we have the gloss, the semi-gloss, and the matte. And with those gels, then we have what we call our aggregate gels. And those aggregate gels have things like the clear granular gel, the pumice gel, and then the glass bead gel. And if you recall, the glass bead gel was the one that had the glass beads in there that created this beautiful surface to paint on. So that's the glass bead gel.
Kevin, can we ask you some questions?
Yes, questions?
Wonderful. So from YouTube, do we make a carvable paste?
Yes, so the hard molding paste, let me find that one. The hard molding paste is the one that we recommend once dry for you to carve that. So you could use the hard molding paste. All of the gels and pastes you can carve into while wet or do a sgraffito effect. But the one that you'd be able to carve would be the hard molding paste.
Wonderful. From Facebook, earlier in the demo, you mixed an iridescent with the hard molding paste. Do you have that available?
Oh, yes, this one. So this one is actually a couple of different mixes here. We started with the ultramarine blue as the undersurface. Then we applied the glass bead gel. That's here. But if you look at these areas, you can kind of see this flash of purple in there. That's with our interference violet. So that's what casts that violet tone on top of the glass bead. And I just modeled that on there loosely with a brush. And then I used the, let me find my hard molding paste again. I just had it. Then I used the hard molding paste, and I mixed it with the our iridescent stainless steel and applied a stencil, and that's where this ginkgo leaf came from.
Thank you.
Are there any more questions?
So we have a materials and application specialist in the comments answering questions, and she is lightning quick.
Okay.
And I think got all of that.
All right, very good. Well, then we'll go back and just finish off the recap here. So as I said, a number of gels, soft gel to regular gel, heavy gel, extra heavy gel. So the choice of the gel really depends on the technique that you're after or the type of texture that you want. They are available in 3 different sheens: gloss, semi-gloss, and matte. The specialty or aggregate gels are the clear granular gel, the coarse pumice gels, and the fine pumice gel, and then our glass bead gel. For the paste, we have our Crackle Paste, and that's the one that is hard to see on that little sample. But if I hold this one here, you can kind of see all those little cracks. Again, for the most part, you can't really control the cracking. Thicker applications, you'll get bigger cells, but really fine applications, you'll get smaller cells. But that's about the extent of it. The other thing is drying time for the gels and pastes. It really varies depending on the humidity in your workspace and the surface that you're painting on. For the paste, we make an extra heavy molding paste. And let me find that one for you. So this one's kind of unique, the extra heavy. It is a paste and gel combo. The molding paste, the light molding paste, the hard molding paste, and the coarse molding paste. And all of these just kind of have a different surface and a different absorbent quality, so it just depends what you're after. On these two, I've combined the light molding paste with the coarse. The coarse is the one that kind of has that sandpapery texture. It's very gritty, great for drawing on. The light molding paste, it is lightweight. If you're going to work on a large surface, that might be one to choose. You can see I've textured them while they were wet when they dried. The light molding paste is also fairly absorbent. If we look at this one, this is the hard molding paste. This is the one that we recommend for carving. unlike the light molding paste, the paint is drawn into that surface, where here it sits a little bit more on the surface. So which one you choose is really dependent on the texture or effect that you're after. All right, I think that does it, unless there's any last minute questions.
Let's take a look.
No last minute questions?
One question is, can people watch these demos later?
Yes, so all the demos are recorded on our Facebook page. If you go to the video section, you'll be able to find those. I encourage you to visit the website because there are so many gels and pastes. It's hard to remember everything that goes along with those. So check the website out. We have great articles on justpaint.org. You can read those that go over some of the differences of all the gels and pastes. And if you have questions, we have a great group of people here, help@goldenpaints.com. Thanks for watching.